Some stories start with a prophecy. This one starts with a thief, a stolen gauntlet, and a death sentence that doesn't quite stick. Welcome back, folks. Today we're diving into Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Our story opens in Zilveren, a desert world where metal means power and water's more precious than money. Meet Saris Fane, 24, professional thief, part-time liar, full-time sass queen. She gets caught stealing in the elite hub and is confronted by a guardian. She cons him into thinking she's plague-ridden. He panics, drops his gauntlet, she nabs it and bolts up a city wall. Her metal-bending powers react weirdly to the gauntlet, but she brushes it off. She's got bigger problems, like feeding her brother Hayden and staying alive under Queen Madra's rule. She drags the stolen loot to Elroy's workshop, her grumpy father figure glassblower, who scolds her for stealing from the immortal Queen's army. But Saris doesn't care. She's broke, desperate, and doing all of this for her brother. Cut to said brother, who's bleeding outside a tavern. He's been picking fights and gambling with Carrion Swift, the copper-haired rogue who's hot, infuriating, and unfortunately her ex. Saris storms into the bar to yell at Carrion, leaves the gauntlet with Hayden, and comes back to find both gone. Classic. When she tracks them down, guardians surround Hayden. She confesses to stealing the gauntlet, fights back, and kills two of them. Cue immediate arrest. She's dragged to Queen Madra, immortal tyrant and reigning drama queen, who slaps her, accuses her of being a Fey assassin, and demands her death. Captain Heron obliges, stabbing Saris, until her powers flare to life. His dagger liquefies and chases him around the throne room. Fighting against impending death, Saris staggers to a sword and a lever across the room and pulls it out. Silver floods the floor, and a figure emerges from it. Death. Saris guesses. He's terrifying, beautiful, and disturbingly hot. He drapes a chain around her neck and whispers, "Don't die yet." And honestly, that's the most romantic thing anyone said so far. Saris wakes 10 days later in Ivelia, the Fey realm. She's in an ice palace that makes Elsa's castle look like a Motel 6. Sweet Princess Everlane is there taking care of her. She offers her an entire glass of water and Saris nearly weeps. Then in comes Renfis, towering general, full-on protective vibes. They casually mention Death needs his pendant back, because without it, he's unraveling like your favorite book series' last 2 books. Everlane hustles Saris through the Winter Palace to the throne room. King Bellicon, Everlane's dad, sits pretty with Saris's stolen sword, Solace. The sword is apparently super powerful, and Queen Madra used it to close off all the Quicksilver portals. King Bellicon decides Saris is now their problem. She'll awaken the Quicksilver, open the other realms, yada yada, interdimensional travel. No pressure. Then in comes the chained and snarling Death. Turns out his real name is Kingfisher, Bellicon's stepson and Everlane's half-brother. Awkward family dinner energy. Bellicon accuses Fisher of breaking his exile. All the Fae in the room are losing it. Everlane is begging her dad for mercy. Then an oracle hijacks the party with a prophecy about House Dabara falling if they screw this up. Verdict: Fisher gets to live, for now, and will babysit Saris for a week and help her learn to awaken the Quicksilver before being thrown back to the warfront. Saris is handed over to Fisher. He's all, "I don't trust you." And Saris is like, "Great, I don't trust me either." Everlane keeps trying to play peacemaker. Renfis? Just looming in the background, radiating dad energy. The gang drags Saris to Evelia's library. The librarian, Rosarius, calls her an alchemist, one of the rare few who can bend Quicksilver into weapons or relics. Kingfisher notes she must have Fey blood, or Solace would have torched her hands. Next stop, the Forge. Saris tags along, hoping to learn portal tricks to get home. On the way, Fisher drops some Fey 101. They grew fangs from a centuries-old curse that made them drink human blood for immortality. The curse has now ended, but all the humans are gone. Saris is the only human in Avelia. The Forge is abandoned, overgrown, and full of awkward tension. Fisher tests her work ethic by making her clean the Forge for hours, then snaps his fingers and magics it spotless. She nearly murders him with a broom. Turns out Fisher is a shadow wielder, because of course he is. He explains alchemists come in 3 flavors: healers, immortality chasers, and transmuters. Her type. His pendant, a gift from his mother, keeps the Quicksilver in his eyes from driving him mad. He once crossed through a portal without it, absorbed some of the metal, and now it's eating him alive from the inside. Then, because his love language is hazard training, he makes her wrestle with Quicksilver by pressing it into her palm until it burns, then smirks when she resolidifies it. When they try again, Ceres hears mysterious chanting in her head. Anarath more, totally creepy. The next day, she's back at the library looking for answers and learns there's a huge Quicksilver pool hidden beneath the Winter Palace. Jackpot. Determined to get home, Ceres distracts Fisher with a kiss, steals his ring, which she thinks is a relic, and runs straight for the Quicksilver pool. He catches her mid-escape. The ring's just jewelry, and if she'd jumped in, she'd be dead. Fisher lays out a deal. He'll try to bring one person back from the other side. The price? A blood oath. She agrees to obey him, make as many relics as he needs, and then gets a ticket home. Naturally, she agrees without reading the fine print. He vanishes into the pool and returns an hour later, holding Carrion Swift instead of her brother. Turns out Carrion lied, said he was Hayden, and Fisher believed him because Carrion still smelled like Ceres from, their previous activities. Awkward. Thanks to that shiny new blood oath, she's stuck following his orders, and they set out towards Anir. After hours of travel, they reach a tavern. Renfis joins them, and Fisher summons a shadow portal that transports them to Kalish, his childhood home. The next day, Carrion is finally awake, and Ceres is relieved to find out that Hayden is alive and working in the 7th Ward. Then Fisher takes her to the forge, and reveals a literal mountain of jewelry. Every shiny trinket needs to be melted, infused with Quicksilver, and turned into relics so his soldiers can safely travel between realms. Just a casual assignment. Hours later, Ceres is failing miserably and running low on silver to experiment with. Ren drops by with a dinner invite from Fisher. He tells her to stop fighting with Fisher and start working with him. She grumbles but agrees to the dinner. It's a disaster. A ridiculously long table between them, her patience snapping halfway through. She grabs her plate and plops down beside him to the right. He looks startled but says nothing. They're mid-argument about Belicon's silver hoarding when the dining room explodes with feeders. Fisher moves like a storm, killing them all before Ceres even breathes. But not before she's poisoned by one. She wakes up in his bed, Fisher in the shadows like a brooding cover model. And he orders her to stay put and heal. Cue 5 days of bed rest and boredom. Once healed, Ceres bolts back to the forge. She drags Ren and Carrie into the next dinner because chaos is her brand. She sits on Fisher's right again. Ren side-eyes them. Apparently that's the wifey chair, and Fisher just shrugs at Ren. The next day, Fisher drags Ceres to the Anir war camp, a frozen wasteland with cranky warriors and zero hot cocoa. Across the river, Amontrieth, Vampire Central. Nice neighborhood. Ceres trains with Carrion and Ren, shocking everyone with how fast she adapts. Afterward, Fisher invites her to dinner in his tent, which turns into a heated argument about the blood oath. Then they kiss unexpectedly. They pull apart, stunned. He storms out before it goes too far. At a war meeting, Ceres and Carrion watch while Fae politics implode. Danya, a fierce warrior, accuses Fisher of abandoning them. He tries to explain, but his lips are literally sealed by magical NDA. Danya lunges with her sword. Ceres yells, "Stop!" and the weapon explodes midair, shards embedding in the wall. The room goes dead silent. Ceres just blinks and says, "Okay, that was new." Then someone shouts, "Icebreakers," which is Fae code for vampires inbound. The Fae soldiers rush outside to smash the ice over the river so the undead army can't cross. And just when the night couldn't get worse, the big bad himself, Malcolm, appears across the riverbank. He locks eyes with Fisher and calls out his name. Apparently, Malcolm isn't just a vampire. He's an immortal high Fae vampire hybrid, the first of his kind. When the Fae curse ended, everyone else returned to normal, but Malcolm chose to stay a vampire. He's the only one who can turn someone into a vampire without them losing their soul. His underlings can only create murder zombies called feeders. When Ceres asks where Fisher's been all these years, he locks up. Literally can't speak. The tension between them snaps into something electric. One moment, they're arguing. The next, they're tangled up in each other. Afterward, he quietly tells her to stay in his room, then vanishes through the shadow portal. The next morning, she wakes up and says, "Why do I have matching tattoos with this man?" Turns out, during their night together, Fisher's magical runes transferred onto her skin. When she confronts him, he admits they're permanent. She's furious. He's flustered. Then he tries to pull the classic, maybe you should go see the healer, just in case you're pregnant line. Saris shuts that down fast. She drops the bomb. Nope, can't happen. Queen Madra had 70% of Third Ward girls sterilized at 14. Fisher retreats, clearly shaken. Saris heads to the forge to keep working. A few hours later, Fisher bursts in all businesslike, dragging her back to the war room. Turns out that sword Saris exploded during her "oops, I have powers" moment. Yeah, it was Danya's ancestral heirloom, made of Quicksilver-infused steel. Super important to the Fae. Saris tries to recall the broken shards with her magic, but they're stuck in the wall like glittery daggers of regret. Then Ren announces they're basically screwed. They have maybe a year before the vampire army grows too big to stop. The pressure hits Saris hard. So what does our girl do? She gets drunk, of course. While nursing her bottle of coping juice, she chats with Loreth, one of Fisher's most loyal warriors. He tells her he used to be a traveling singer until vampires attacked him. Fisher saved him by giving up part of his soul. Now they're magically linked. If Loreth dies first, Fisher gets his soul fragment back. But if Fisher dies first, he's stuck as a ghost until Loreth finally kicks it, and since Fae live like forever, that's a really long wait. Loreth, being a ride-or-die bestie, shrugs and says, "No worries, I'll handle that when it happens." Saris, tipsy, decides every man here desperately needs therapy. Then Fisher appears and whisks her to a town called Ballard for the longest night festival. Basically, Fae Mardi Gras meets winter solstice. After the festival, he takes her to another one of his childhood homes. It's equal parts gorgeous and tragic. There's even a statue of his mother, Edina. That night, Saris wakes to Fisher screaming, the quicksilver in his eye making him unravel. To distract him, she starts talking, telling him of her mother's death at the hands of Madra's guards and the grief that shaped her. It's raw, and for the first time, they see each other's pain reflected. By morning, they're still side by side, neither willing to move. The tension finally breaks and they surrender to each other. In the middle of it, Saris realizes he can hear her thoughts, like actual telepathy. Then Saris, in peak chaos fashion, whispers for him to bite her. And he does. It's taboo. It's dangerous. It's ridiculously hot. Afterward, new runes appear on her skin. Fisher dodges explanations, claiming they'll fade in a month unless she chooses to keep them. Saris isn't buying it. She knows he's hiding something big, and it's written all over her skin. Back at the forge, Saris is one failed experiment away from a meltdown when Carrion strolls in. He's like, "Babe, why don't you just ask the Quicksilver?" Annoying, but genius. So they march to the war room to chat with the sentient metal in the wall. Turns out the Quicksilver wants music, an entire song it can keep forever. Saris agrees, but only if it blesses the new sword with magic. The Quicksilver refuses, so she bargains. You can test the wielder and see if they are worthy of the magic. The Quicksilver likes the drama and agrees. Loreth joins in, crafting a wolf pommel for the new sword symbolizing loyalty. Fisher arrives mid-forge, jaw on the floor, as Saris births what's basically Fae Excalibur. Then Loreth cuts himself on the blade. Oops. And the Quicksilver demands, "The song, mortal, give us the song." As he sings the ballad of the Aegean Gate, the sky erupts in aurora light for the first time in a millennium. When the song ends, the metal whispers, "The bargain is struck. We claim you, Loreth." Cue group panic. That's supposed to be Danya's sword. Oops. Then things get eerie. Only Saris can remember the song. Everyone else forgets. The metal tells Loreth to name the sword. He does. Avicieth, Redemption's Dawn. The blade ignites in blue flames called Angel's Breath. A divine blessing. As Saris and Fisher sleep, she remembers how she negotiated with the Quicksilver before, so naturally, she decides to try the same thing with the Quicksilver in Fisher's eye. Unfortunately, this Quicksilver views their bond as inseparable and will not leave. Fisher wakes and detects her distress, understanding what she was trying to do. Before they can delve further into this emotional landscape, Ren bursts in like the world's most inconvenient alarm clock. "Hey! Sorry to interrupt the bonding session, but the enemy's here." Vampires attack. Fisher, Ren, and Loreth unleash magic and mayhem. It's chaos until they see Everlane. captured and bitten by Malcolm. She's enthralled to him now and days away from turning into either a vampire or a feeder. Taladias tells Fisher that Malcolm wants not only him but Saris too, and that he'll be waiting for him in Gillithry. Fisher turns to the group and declares they're all heading to Kalish to regroup and figure out how to deal with Malcolm. Back at the forge, Saris feeds the Quicksilver secrets as payment. She admits she doesn't really want to go home, just wants Hayden and Elroy safe in Evelia, and maybe she isn't in such a rush to leave Fisher after all. The metal hums. Accepted. Also, your real task? Save Fisher. No pressure. When she slips on the new relic, that eerie chant returns. Anarath more, until Telena interrupts. Carrion tries to flirt with her, but Telena flashes her wedding runes, and Saris freezes. The markings match her own. Saris presses for answers. Telena explains they usually get the marks after 5 years of marriage, but back in the day when a true mating bond used to exist, they would just appear on their own. The scripts around the wrists are divine blessings called God bindings, meant for the most important destined couples. But those stories always end in tragedy. Fated mates, God-tier romance, cursed ending. Perfect. Just perfect. She immediately goes to confront Fisher. She finds him, and he finally admits to Saris that she's his fated mate, prophesied centuries ago by his oracle mother, who saw her in a vision. He's been trying to delay their bond to keep her safe, but she's furious he made that choice for her. She storms out and insists she'll find a way to save both him and Everlane. The group learns that to save Everlane, they'll need witches, the only ones who can purge vampire venom. Fisher and Wren track one down named Eshabal, who agrees to help. Before the mission, Fisher sets up a quiet night with Saris, a last goodbye wrapped in tenderness. When she wakes the next day, he's gone. He's left a note saying, "Sorry, went to rescue Everlane. You're free from our blood oath. When Everlane comes through the portal tonight, don't let her go back in. Oh, please don't follow me." Saris immediately goes to find the gang. Wren got a note too. There's no Quicksilver pool in Gillithry, so they can't go get him. Then Carrion reads the letter and says, "Hold up, how long does the portal stay open after we go through?" Saris says, 10 to 12 seconds, why? Carrion then asks, "And there's always a delay?" Lorith answers, "Yeah, Fisher is always complaining about it." Carrion then says, "In the letter, it says you need to keep Everlane from going back into the portal whenever he sends her through." Surprise, it's a two-way portal. That night, a dark portal opens in the ceiling and down falls Everlane. Carrion, Saris, and Lorith make it through in time, but Wren didn't make it through before the portal closed, so he's sitting this round out. The portal dumps them into a frozen lake. They have to scale an obsidian cliff to get to an amphitheater packed with dead people chanting, Anarath more, which Loreth translates as, "Release us." Heron, Madra's captain, pops up again, only now he's full Quicksilver zombie and teleports them straight into the villain's lair. At the center waits Malcolm, Queen Madra, and, plot twist, King Belicon. It's a family reunion. They're all siblings. Fisher is kneeling and bleeding. Belicon releases Fisher from his magical NDA and makes him reveal the deal he struck with them all those years ago. We finally get the tea. We learn that centuries ago, Malcolm attacked the city. Fisher bargained with Malcolm and Belicon to save the city. He flipped a cursed coin that Malcolm caught, so it never landed, trapping thousands of souls between life and death. Malcolm then hid the coin in the center of the labyrinth. Fisher has spent the last century in this labyrinth searching for that coin so he can make it drop and set them free. Fisher suddenly grabs Solace and lunges at Belicon, shouting for everyone to run into the labyrinth. Inside, things go from bad to nightmare level. Cue one giant half-face spider demon. Carrion, Fisher, and Lorith hack away while Fisher yells for Saris to find the Quicksilver pool at the center of the labyrinth. They finally kill the spider, but the labyrinth walls start shifting like a Rubik's Cube from hell. They go in the direction Saris senses the Quicksilver and stumble into the center of the labyrinth. It's filled with mountains of coins. Malcolm, Madra, and Belicon are already there. Problem? Every coin's a fake. Real silver burns Malcolm. Carrion steps up, taunts Malcolm into biting him. And it works. Malcolm reels back in shock as Carrion reveals his true name. Carrion's Swift Dianthus. Hang tight. That last name is important. Saris calls out to the Quicksilver for help, offering a favor and admitting Fisher is her mate. It reveals the real coins inside the spider's corpse. Gross. She retrieves it, but Malcolm attacks and takes the coin before she can drop it. They clash. Blades, blood, and chaos. He goes for her stomach and chest just as she rips open his coin pouch, managing to drop the real coin onto the floor. The curse breaks, freeing thousands of trapped souls in one go. With her last strength, Saris kills Malcolm with solace. She's dying, and Fisher is going feral. He begs to soulbind her, like what he did with Loreth, but she refuses. It would weaken him too much and could kill him. Then Taladeus offers another way. He can turn her without her losing her soul. Apparently, he's more powerful than he let on, choosing to hide his power from Malcolm so he wouldn't kill him. Fisher panics and says yes since Saris can't. Then darkness. Saris wakes mid-transformation in the collapsing amphitheater. She's pulled into the Quicksilver by a voice and meets Zareth, god of chaos, and his twin daughters, Baal and Mithrin, the sun goddesses. He tells her she and Fisher are fated across all realms. Their love can save or destroy the world. No pressure. She and Fisher are under his protection, hence the god bindings. He can cut her out of the fate thread, so no other gods can see or mess with her, but warns she'll become something new, his wild card. She accepts. Saris emerges reborn, half fae, half vampire. She learns Everlane's alive but asleep, and that Belicon and Madra have fled. Carrion reveals his secret lineage. He's the missing fae heir. Fisher's dad took him to Zilveren when he was young to save him from Belicon. He glamored Carrion's ears and fangs so he wouldn't stand out and brought a bag of books for him, so Carrion could learn about his heritage and return when the time was right. Then Carrion basically got stuck in Zilvaren when Madra closed the Quicksilver portals. Carrion explains he survived Malcolm's bite because his father's blood was used to create the original blood curse that allowed Malcolm to be a vampire. Apparently, vampires can't drink from any living family member of the person whose blood was used to make them, and they can't enthrall them either. That's why Malcolm had Belicon kill Carrion's parents. They were the only threat to him. Then Fisher walks in. He's shaken, but relieved. Saris notices Fisher has less Quicksilver in his eye with the help of Telena and Eshabal. It seems the Quicksilver poisoning can maybe be cured with time. She looks out the window and sees they are on the wrong side of the river. Apparently, Malcolm never named an heir, so his throne can be claimed by the one who killed him, Saris. Surprise. In 2 days, she will be the new queen of Sanazrath. And that, folks, is how we end Quicksilver. Our street rat. Human Thief is now a half-fae, half-vampire queen. If you made it to the end of this chaotic recap, hit like, subscribe, and tell me which scene had you screaming the loudest.